Hey, welcome back to the channel. You know, recently I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me when I'm going to do another computer. It's been a while. And that got me thinking, yeah, it really has been a long time since I've done a computer. So what better time to take a look at this Tandy 1000SX. I found this during a very fortuitous thrifting episode recently, and I'm really glad to have picked it up. Now, it's not in the best shape. It's a little bit rough. But that'll give us a chance to go through this, make sure everything's good, clean it up some, and hopefully play some games. Now, I think this is going to be a multi-part series, so stay tuned for part 1 of this Tandy 1000SX. Now, I picked this thing up pretty cheap, and it's a good thing I did. It's really not in the best condition. I want to take a look at this, get the cover off, clean it up, and make sure that there's nothing inside that looks like it needs to be replaced or serviced or tended to. I really haven't had a chance to look this over really closely yet, so we're going to do this together and see what we come up with. All right, so this thing is pretty filthy. I mean, there's dirt and grime all across the front of this thing. The top of it looks terrible. The disk drives are caked in stuff, and don't even get me started on the back. It looks pretty bad too. So I think the first step with this, before we do anything, is to get this cover off, have a look inside, see if everything looks good in there before we proceed. I haven't decided if I want to retrobrite this thing yet or just leave it as it is. I guess it'll probably depend on how it cleans up. So to start off with, there should be 2 screws on the front here that need to come out in order to get the front or the top case off of this. These are pretty easy to disassemble. So there's one, and number 2. Pull that one out. Let's see if we can get this one out too. It's a little bit stubborn over here on this side. All right, let's see if that'll pop off without that. There we go. It's been a long time since I've been in one of these to remember how everything comes apart. All right, so now this is kind of our first look inside. The air vent across the front is just absolutely terrible. There's the PC speaker. These had a great PC speaker on them. That's a nice big cone speaker. Looks really, really good. Looking on the inside of it, it's kind of hard to see the entire board with both drives in. Well, looks like that sticker's come loose finally. But looking through here, everything looks pretty decent. I don't see anything that's jumping out at me here. You know, overall, looking inside, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a little bit dusty. You can tell it's been sitting for a long time. I mean, it is a 40-year-old computer, but if we look inside, we can see the 8088 processor right there. Got a spot right next to it for the math coprocessor that isn't installed on this one, but everything else looks pretty good. All of the chips look nice. I don't see any bulging capacitors, at least on this side of it. And just a note, these do have 5 ISA slots in them, regular XT compatible ISA slots, which, you know, a lot of people complained that there were only 5, but, you know, on these Tandys, the video, the sound, all of that was integrated into the motherboard. You didn't have all those extra boards in there for all those controllers, the floppy controller and all of that. So 5 card slots is actually a lot. And I'm thinking maybe I want to, you know, add a compact flash hard drive emulator, or maybe we'll get or try to find a hard card or something for it. You know, it'll be kind of neat to upgrade this and, you know, kind of make it into the Tandy computer that I really, really would have wanted as a kid. You know, we had a Commodore and I loved it. You know, it does, you know, the 16 colors and the SID chip sound is great on Commodore. But there was just something about these Tandys that just really captivated my imagination back in the 80s. The graphics seemed so much better. You know, I can tell, you know, to me, the sound isn't as good as what the SID chip stuff is on the Commodore. I think it's still great, But it was really the, the upgradability to it, and the fact that you could have a hard drive in these and dual built-in drives, all this other stuff that just really, really captivated my imagination. Well, I think the first step is probably going to be just blowing this thing out a little bit, get some of this dust out of it, and kind of go from there. But it's really not too bad on the inside. I mean, there's a little bit of dust in the vents. Probably need to blow this one out from inside. But really not bad at all. It looks like this one's got the standard RAM in it. I can see the empty spots for the upgrading the RAM in there as well. Maybe that'll be something we'll do at some point. Yeah, that's really not bad. I'll give that a little bit of a vacuum to get all that stuff out of it, but yeah, that's not too bad. Well, I think we should probably start on cleaning up all of the plastics, maybe get this thing looking good. So let's move this out of the way. We'll spin this around maybe. Take a look at the back, because the back is pretty filthy on this. Yeah, a little bit of surface rust on the bottom of those block-off plates on the ISOCARD slots, but might be able to use a little bit of degreaser and Windex and get this clean. Let's see if we can spray that and make it look at least halfway decent. Get a rag here. There we go. Well, that's actually coming off pretty easily. That's pretty dirty, but that's good. I was afraid that this was totally baked on, years and years worth of grime. If I can get the front and top to come this clean, I definitely won't have to retrobrite this. It actually looks pretty good. Yeah, that's coming off too. Yeah, this is actually cleaning up pretty nice, pretty easily. I have to get some swabs in there, I think, to get those hard to reach areas. But for the main stuff, wow, it's not too terribly bad. Get this side over here. Okay, I'm actually pretty impressed so far. That's looking pretty good. I found these microfiber towels at Walmart. I normally don't go to Walmart because I hate going in there. But they had a box of these. It's like, I think 40 of these microfiber cloths in a box for like $13. And you can wash them and reuse them. So I picked up a box of those. I think that'll be handy to have around the studio here. I'm always looking for rags. Perfect. All right, well, let's get this thing turned around again. See if we can get these floppy drives cleaned off a little bit on the fronts. Oh yeah, those are cleaning up pretty nice too. Now they are yellowed. I can see the yellowing on those. There was a couple of stickers on the front here, and you can definitely see where those stickers were. So yeah, there's some discoloration on those drives that I'm not going to be able to get out. Clean that vent off there. Yeah, this is turning out to be not too bad. So we can drop that back on there. There we go. Drop that in there. Perfect. All right, let's move on to the outside case of this thing. It's probably the filthiest. I went ahead and grabbed those two stickers that were on the inside of the case because they're still in pretty good shape. They just lost their sticky. One of them says to turn off the computer and wait 10 seconds before inserting or removing any option board. And the other one says no user serviceable parts inside. Yeah, we'll see about that. But I want to keep those and get those put back on when we do kind of a full restoration on this. I'll put these to the side for later. But for now, let's go ahead and get the top of this thing sprayed. Let that stuff soak in just a little bit. And see if we're as lucky here as we were on the back side. See if this stuff will actually wipe off of here. Oh, and it looks like it is. Wow. Wonder if that's showing up on camera like it is in person. Wow. Give it a good wipe here on half of it. See if it'll show kind of a side-by-side comparison. I picked up some magic erasers too in case I need those, but so far it looks like I may not need the magic erasers on this one, which is good. I don't want to use anything that's really abrasive. I don't want to ruin that texture that's on these. But yeah, can you see the difference there? That's pretty impressive. I thought this thing would be just kind of a, what do you call it, a beater everyday driver kind of a computer when I was done with it. I didn't figure it would clean up real nice. Still got the Tandy badge on it there too. But it actually is cleaning up way better than I thought it would. I figured this thing was long gone. Now there's a couple of scuffs right along here that I will probably end up needing the magic erasers for. But wow, that's actually pretty impressive. I did not expect this. See what this other side looks like. Yeah, a couple of scuffs on that too. Thing with these old plastics, you just got to be careful. You don't want to use anything that's too abrasive. You don't want to use anything that's going to discolor it either. And I tend to use Windex as much as I can because you know that it's, not going to really hurt anything. But I also, if I've got really tough grime, I really like this Grease Lightning stuff. It seems to work really, really well. It's a pretty good cleaner and degreaser. And I haven't had a situation yet where it's caused any damage to a finish that I've been working on. But wow, that's, for a first wipe down, this is actually turning out great. I'm actually really excited about this thing now. I was so worried that it was going to be just beyond looking good. And, I don't think I'm going to have to worry about retrobrighting that at all. It actually looks pretty good. It's good. Those floppy disk drives are going to really stand out like a sore thumb on this now. All right, well, let's see if we can get the rest of these scuffs and stuff off of here. Maybe a little magic eraser. Hopefully these scuffs don't prove too difficult for us here. We'll try a little magic eraser and some elbow grease. These magic erasers are a little bit abrasive, so you don't want to go at it too hard with them because you don't want to take that little bit of that textured finish that these have. You don't really want to take that off. And I tend to use a little bit of soap with these two because I found that kind of gives it a little bit of lubrication so I don't take the finishes off or run the risk of taking the finishes off quite as much. Yeah, that's looking pretty good actually. Got most of that off of there. Put this one over here in the corner. That one's proven to be a little tougher. That's a little deeper down in that plastic. There we go. And on this side too. I just can't get over how well that's turning out. Let's see about this side here. There's a couple of little areas on that side too I want to address and see if we can get those out. Just a little scrubby scrub there. Looks like there's a little scratch in the finish right here. I'm sure I could take some real light abrasive and maybe get that out of there, but I'm not too worried about that. It is a 40-year-old computer after all, and it's going to have a few bumps and bruises. That's the story of its life, right? We don't want to erase its history. We just want to make it look nice. There we go. Wiping that up. That is looking really good. I'm so excited. If you can't tell, it's like me being a 10-year-old kid again, or a 8-year-old kid again, seeing these in the store and getting really excited about them. I had a friend that had a Tandy, and I just absolutely loved it. He had all the great games, and that PC speaker sound, and I remember going over there and just thinking that the graphics looked amazing. And I think they had a Tandy monitor, and I think they used the RGB out of the back of it, because these have a composite video output and they have RGB. And a little thing, if you didn't know, I've got an old Commodore 2002 monitor, and it'll do regular composite video, it'll do separate Luma and Chroma, which is S video, and it'll do both digital and analog RGB. So it actually works with the Tandy as well. So until I can find a Tandy monitor, I'm going to have to use probably my Commodore monitor with this. Man, that looks good. All right, well, let me get the freshly cleaned up computer, and I think we'll put this thing back together and see if it'll fire up for us, see what we get. All right, so the moment of truth. Now, I don't have a Tandy keyboard yet, and I don't have a Tandy monitor yet, and I don't even have any boot discs for this yet. I'm kind of winging it on this one. Now, I did order a keyboard adapter that I could use my Model M or some other PS2 keyboard with, so at least we're going to be good there. And I'm working on writing some floppy disks for boot up, maybe DeskMate or something like that, or DOS. But I at least want to see if we get past post on this thing. So, they say no time like the present, so fingers crossed. I hear a fan running. Oh, memory size, 384K. Drive came to life. We might get lucky here. BIOS ROM version 1.02.00. Compatibility software. Copyright 1984, 85, 86. Phoenix Software and Tandy. All rights reserved. Good deal. Well, it looks like that's as far. Yeah, insert system diskette and strike any key when ready. So that looks like that's about as far as we're going to get today. But at least we know it works. And here's that Commodore monitor working with it, by the way. Yeah, these use RGBI, and the Commodore monitors will do it. So I think it looks pretty good on top of there for not it being a Tandy monitor. Well, this is part one, I think, of this series. Once I get that keyboard adapter in, which looks like it's going to be pretty cool, and some boot discs, we'll kind of get into some basic stuff with using one of these. But for now, at least we were able to get it clean. We know it boots up, at least. So we'll kind of see where we go from here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode on this Tandy. May have something coming up in between for a week or two, while I get those parts. So I don't want you to miss that video. But anyway, that's all I've got. I've been Chad here at the Vintage Electronics channel. We'll see you next time.